What's the difference between managers
Whoop! Better avoid that.
and firefighters?
Oh no!
This video covers a fundamental distinction in IFS, or the internal family system. The difference between managers and firefighters. The really quick answer to the difference between managers and firefighters in IFS is they're both protectors, but they work differently. Managers, and you can see this is a manager because of the wonderful tie he's wearing, are so-called proactive protectors. That means they try to protect us from harm, old emotions, things that could happen to us by organizing our life in such a way that the emotions, the negative situations don't even come up. They are proactive. Firefighters, on the other hand, work reactively. Reactively meaning they come up once something in us has been triggered, once we have been in a situation that hurt us or where we experience emotions that they don't want us to experience, and they react to that, trying to calm whatever is happening in us. Managers organize our life in such a way that we hopefully never experience pain, at least that's what they try to do, and firefighters react once a pain or an old emotion or something in that realm has been triggered in us, and they try to calm it. Because of that, managers and firefighters often use different strategies. Managers more strategies of trying to organize our life, being orderly, all of these kind of things, avoiding certain situations. Firefighters are more extreme usually in their reactions, because once something in us has been triggered, they will do whatever it takes to calm that down or to divert our attention, meaning they can often have addictive behaviors, extreme binging behaviors, anything necessary to get away from the old pain. Now, if this short answer was everything you're looking for, wonderful. I hope you have a great day and enjoy it. If you want to understand the difference between managers and firefighters a little more deeply and understand why are they doing what they're doing, what brings them to show their behaviors, why do managers think they have to manage, and why do firefighters think if an old pain or if a negative emotion arises in us, they need to get it down at any cost? Why is that happening? That's what I want to talk about in the rest of this video, and I want to take you on a small journey to really understand managers and firefighters. And this journey starts with a very simple question, and that is, what are protectors? What are they protecting us from, and why are they doing it?
You never know what's around the next one.
I want to use one concrete example for the rest of this video, because I think often these questions of what is a protector, what's a manager, what's a firefighter, they get a lot more clear when we have a concrete example. And this is a concrete example of how IFS views our psyche and how IFS views protectors, inner dynamics, struggles to arise and to manifest through our inner parts. And in this example, I want to talk about, at first, this little girl, a little innocent girl. And imagine that this little girl just moved. Her family just moved cities. She doesn't know anybody, but she would really like to make friends. So she goes up to a group of kids, hoping that she can play with them, hoping that they will like her, hoping to make friends, but these kids make fun of her. Now, for this little girl, she then walks away and she feels really ashamed. She feels shame and, oh God, I'm not good enough. They don't like me. Nobody will ever like me. All of these thoughts and feelings in her. And in IFS, the basic assumption is, if the girl can't process this, if she can't actually digest these feelings, this shame, the feelings will stay in her system and they will turn into what IFS calls a burden. So it's like a part of her, in this case this bear, will start carrying this shame like a wound or a burden. So there will be a part in this little girl, in this case this little bear, that is really ashamed and that feels this shame basically constantly. That's the IFS way of looking at it. And then, based on that, there is this shame which makes it, of course, very difficult to meet new people, but also difficult to be her. Now, this is what IFS calls an exile. An exile is a part in our system that carries old pain. And they're called exiles because usually these parts don't just stay completely active in us at all times, but our inner system starts to protect these parts, but also protect us from this pain, from the burdens they're carrying. Now, in this example, that could mean that this little girl develops a protector that avoids certain situations. Protectors in IFS try to avoid pain. They try to both avoid the old pain the girl is carrying, the exile, the shame, but they also try to avoid being in situations where experiences like that could happen again. They try to avoid, for instance, meeting new people. And managers and firefighters are both protectors. They're both there to protect this exile, but also to protect the rest of the system from this exile. They just go about it in very different ways. They use different strategies, behaviors, and they're in bit different roles to avoid this old pain and to avoid new situations that could again be painful emotionally, physically for this girl. And I want to talk a little bit about how a manager would do that and how a firefighter would do that. Protectors try to protect us from pain. Old pain, new pain. They go about it very differently. How do they do that? Let's start with the manager. Earlier in the video I said a manager is a proactive protector. Now what does that mean? It means that this manager, in this case this very buff, strong, intimidating manager with a tie, would try to organize this little girl's life in such a way that, number one, she doesn't get into situations where this old pain could come up. And number two, she doesn't get into situations where similar things could happen again. So this pain came up when the little girl was trying to meet new friends. A manager could now start by organizing her life in ways where she's not in situations where the girl could even potentially meet new friends. So it would be like, oh, do you want to go to the park? There are nice people there. Oh, no, I'd rather read a book. This manager organizes the girl's behavior, activities, all of that in such a way that she doesn't even get into situations where she could meet new people, and thus this pain could come up, or these people could again laugh at her and she feels the shame again. That would be one way that a manager works. Another one would be that if the little girl is in a situation of meeting new people, this manager could show behavior and kind of get into feeling states that make the girl not vulnerable. That's why this manager is very powerful. So it would be like, hey, yeah, So rather than the girl actually being herself, being vulnerable, maybe being open in her heart, this protector will make sure that she's hard and kind of rough with the others. So even though there would be possibilities of meetings, this manager will make them in such a way that it's very difficult for the girl to be hit in that shame part again. Maybe that shame was mostly in her heart, but also to actually experience that closeness that could lead to the pain coming up or the girl being hurt again. So rather than being very close with people, this manager would keep a distance. Rather than the girl showing her vulnerabilities, this manager would be boastful, as one example. So the manager tries to organize and manage our life in such a way that situations that could be hurtful in the way that they bring up the old pain or they create new pain don't even come up. Now, firefighters, on the other hand, are reactive protectors. What exactly does that mean? Reactive protectors means they don't organize our life. They don't do all of these things to stay safe and to anticipate, oh, that could be dangerous. But rather, a firefighter comes up when the exile, the pain, the shame, the burden of the exile has already been triggered. It's coming up, and it will do whatever is necessary to squash that feeling, to again push the exile away or to distract from that feeling. So imagining that in this moment the girl actually meets people that she likes and she feels appreciated and she feels a sort of friendship actually come up, but this triggers this old part that feels so shameful, feels so ashamed. So even though the situation is actually beautiful for the girl, she starts feeling that old shame again. And then a firefighter could come up, and firefighters then usually can have extreme reactions. That could mean that in this situation, the girl gets aggressive or starts pushing against them. It could be that the girl suddenly completely removes herself and starts eating or binging TV, depending on the age of the girl, of course. But basically, the firefighter will do whatever it needs to so that this shame, the burden that the exile is carrying, is not felt and doesn't overwhelm the system. What's the similarity between managers and firefighters? They're both protectors. They both think they need to protect us from bad things that could happen to us or from pain that could overwhelm our system. What's the difference between them? They have very different strategies. Managers are proactive, meaning they manage our life, they manage our relationships, they manage our inner world in such a way that they try to avoid pain that once was there or that we're still carrying. Firefighters, on the other hand, are reactive. They get activated when the pain is already active in us, and they try to do everything so that it doesn't overwhelm us. That's the basic difference. And in IFS, we would work with these parts slightly differently because they work differently. But this video was more about the difference between them, understanding them, and the importance in understanding this difference is that they have a different effect on our life, and they have a different effect on our inner system. Because a manager that tries to avoid situations, that tries to make it so that our life is kind of controlled and works, acts differently in us than a firefighter. Firefighters can be so much more extreme because their basic objective is get rid of this pain however possible. Drugs? Great, let's use those. Sex addiction? Wonderful, yet let's use that. Whatever a firefighter can use to ease that pain, of which it's convinced it would completely overwhelm us, it will use. So that's why having this understanding makes a big difference, and learning how to deal with these parts in us according to what they need is also different, but that's a different video. This was just about the difference. I hope this helped you. If this helped you, please share it with people that you think could benefit from this, and I'll see you again soon.
You never know what's around